Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. The Canadiens find a way to get a point in this game, but really, lost to the Anaheim Ducks 6-5 in the shootout here. In what was another one of those roller coaster games for the Canadiens that it looked like sometimes they were in the solid spot to win this thing, and sometimes didn't look like it was going to happen. It was more so the latter there, more so of the Canadiens just not finding a way, and then suddenly finding a way all at once, and almost winning this one. So, just really a disaster of a game is what I would describe that to be. It just like until we found a way in like later in the third period, it did not look even remotely like this was a game that was actually going to result in anything productive at all. There were plenty of chances for us to win this game as well, but most of it was just us fucking around, really, just not doing anything on either side of the ice. I think offensively, obviously, we've talked about this in the last video as well, as how our offense is there. Obviously, there's another game where we score 5 goals, like that should be enough to win a game. But when we have let's face it, terrible goaltending today, and no defensive awareness or anything like that going on, it's just you can't expect to win games with this kind of an effort defensively. And it's just another game where, in my opinion, it just convinces me that the Canadiens are just not capable of playing defense right now, and something needs to change either in scheme or in lineup or something like that to get the Canadiens into a position where they can actually defend and defend well. Goaltending, I think we've kind of made our bed with that one. We decided not to make any moves at the trade deadline for better or worse. I think there are some positives that can come out of that. Obviously, not trading away any solid assets or whatever. But I also felt a little bit disappointed about the fact that the Canadiens weren't able to find a way to reward the team for the effort that they put on so far. And I feel like they deserve to at least get the addition of some sort of depth piece that could help us out on the defensive end. I don't necessarily think that the goaltending was something that was ever going to change or whatever, but even just having like some sort of veteran presence on D or something like that could have helped us out would have been a great thing for us to be able to add, but unfortunately that was not the case. Don't get any additions there, and the staff rewards Kent Hughes for that by or the players reward Kent Hughes for that by coming out and playing this game. And yeah, it just a disappointing effort. I mean, it starts off like 20 seconds in with a goal from, I think it was Trouba, that ended up being called off for offside, but it was a terrible goal to let in either way. It was just like Matsumoto just never like was never able to get his hands on it or whatever, and it just beat him. That goal gets taken back for offside, so we kind of get some good graces there. We get a goal taken off the board, and then literally 19 seconds later they score anyway because the Canadiens let up another 2-on-1 opportunity almost right after they were given another opportunity at 0-0, and that ends up giving them that 1-0 lead that they just had previously. Nick Suzuki comes down, not too long after and scores. It's his 20th goal of the season there, so that's 5 straight seasons with 20 goal seasons for Nick Suzuki. So really impressive there. Caulfield and Slavkovsky the assists. They put that line back together, which I actually really liked. I thought that getting Slavkovsky back on that top line was really helpful for all of them, and I think like that really was proven with the effort that top line put in, much better than what we saw in the Sharks game there. They were a lot better. I felt like offensively they were doing a lot better there. Defensively, obviously the entire team struggled defensively. I think that's clearly, to me right now, our worst thing. It's just something that we're just not capable of doing right now, and it's going to hurt us down the line. But offensively, I thought that top line was a lot more solid and a lot more productive with Slavkovsky on it. It's Caulfield's 26th assist, Slavkovsky's 27th assist of the season there. So all around, I like the way that worked out for them. And it's a nice response, obviously. Then Lane Hudson adds on to that 2 minutes later on the power play. I like him just kind of coming in and taking a shot there. That's exactly what you want to see out of Lane there. Just I feel like he's been using his shot a lot more recently, and it's been going well for him. It's his 11th goal of the season on the power play. Slavkovsky is another assist, his 28th of the season, and Suzuki his 51st assist of the season there. So again, like I like to see them, Lane Hudson, and just generally on the power play shooting the puck worked out for us there. And we had a lot of other power play opportunities in this game where it did not work out because we go back to the bread and butter of just not passing or doing too much passing and not enough shooting. And that's kind of frustrating. But in that case, it worked out well for us. That was unfortunately followed up by, 3 unanswered Ducks goals there. Radko Gudas scores from just taking a shot from the point. Another one that Lane and Sam Montembeault just has to have that save. I just don't understand how that's getting past him. It's literally like maybe there's a screen a little bit, but like it's just like a blank, like point blank not blank. He shoots from the point and it just finds a way to. He just like doesn't catch it. I just don't understand how that happens. And I've been, a big fan of Montembeault. I've been supporting him when other people have been doubting him. But in this one, I don't think that there's any room for support, especially early on in this game. He just absolutely blew it for us in that first into the second period there. I don't understand how that happens. I will say he definitely got a lot better as the game went along and into the shootout as well. I thought he was pretty solid, but in general, you can't have goaltending like that at the beginning of a game and then expect to win the game down at the end. It's just not going to happen for you. And Montembeault lets in 2 goals there that are just unacceptable in my opinion. And then Lacombe scores one of the power play. That's another one that I feel like Montembeault should really have. It's another point shot with a little bit of screen going on for sure, but that's part of the job as a goaltender. You got to be able to look around the screen. I think the Canadiens can do a better job defensively, just getting guys away from the net. I think on that one they really screen their own goalie, but at the same time it just feels like whenever point shots are coming in from defenseman there, it just looks like Montembeault just doesn't really know what to do with it. He was like already down in butterfly way before the puck even got towards the net, so I just don't really understand what's going on there. But either way, that gives Anaheim the lead. And then Leo Carlson scores 35 seconds into the third period on a 2-on-1 opportunity, and this one all gets generated off the fact that we've got that top line out there, and they're good offensively, but it feels like whenever they're in offensively, and then we have Lane Hudson in there, it feels like there's too much offensive mindset going on, not enough defensive mindset, and it gives the opposition a lot of odd man rushes going the other way. Anaheim was able to capitalize on 2 of those in this game alone here, and that really killed us there. It gave Anaheim a 4-2 lead. Fortunately for us, where we're insane at coming back in games for whatever reason, we score 3 unanswered goals after that. Cole Caulfield scores on a nice kind of cross crease pass from Noah Dobson. Cole Caulfield's 36th goal of the season. Noah Dobson gets his 29th assist, and Lane Hudson his 51st assist there. Just a really nice pass from Noah Dobson that finds Cole Caulfield on the far side. He just got to one-time that into pretty much a wide open net. Does so and gets us back within 1. And then a couple minutes later, Carrier kind of gloves down an errant pass from Jake Evans that was trying to look for, I think it was Kirby Dach in front, and then Carrier finds it, gloves it down, and shoots it top corner and ties that game up. It's his 7th goal of the season. Jake Evans gets the assist for his 9th of the season, and Zach Bolduc gets his 15th assist of the season there. So, just a really great effort for them to come back in and find a way to tie this game up. And then Cole Caulfield gets another one, a tip in off of a Noah Dobson shot that takes us into the lead, gives us the 5-4 lead. Cole Caulfield gets his 37th goal of the season there. Noah Dobson his 30th assist, and Lane Hudson gets another one for his 52nd of the season there. So just a really great stretch in that third period there. It's a nice tip from Cole Caulfield that finds its way in. Cole Caulfield is not often the guy who's tipping in shots, but he does so on this one, and it gives us that 5-4 lead, which we take all the way into the final minute. But of course, and this has been a problem for the Canadiens all season as well, I think. I'm not sure exactly what the stat is, but I feel like the Canadiens are, one of the worst in the lead at defending, a 1-goal lead at the end of the game, especially with the goalie pulled. The Canadiens just have not found a way to, ice those games in that situation. We get scored on with the extra attacker out very often, and this is another situation where Chris Kreider gets, a tip-in goal there with less than a minute to go with the goalie pulled, and it's really all just because if you watch that goal back over again, Matheson is on Chris Kreider there, but he's on the outside of him. Like Chris Kreider has just been given, the inside track to the net there, and his stick is just wide open to do whatever he wants with it, and he does exactly what he wants with it, tips it home, and ties this game up with less than a minute to go. And that's just another situation where like we have to be better at clearing guys out at the front of the net. Mike Matheson in that situation needs to be able to tie up Kreider's stick in that situation. He can't just let his stick kind of hang out, all willy-nilly like that. Like it's like you got to tie up the stick. You got to push him, to the outside of the net, and then let Montembeault, cross our fingers obviously, but let him make that, that point shot save with no tip. Like you got to be able to take that tip out of the consideration. We can't do that, and with less than a minute to go, it's a tie game. We pretty much dominated the entirety of that overtime frame. Got a penalty, a power play opportunity with 2 minutes left in the overtime frame. But, again, just a lot of passing and not a lot of shot opportunities. We had a couple of shots in there, but nothing, incredibly dangerous. It's just a lot of perimeter play. And, I think that's just generally like my big problem with our man advantage right now is that we're doing a whole lot of perimeter passing and not a whole lot of attacking the net there and trying to get, actual shots on to challenge the goaltender. And until we try to find a way to, get bodies in front and then get pucks towards the net, whether it's in 5-on-5 and the man advantage, we're not going to be able to score goals by just passing pucks around the outside. So yeah, in this situation, obviously that doesn't work. And then the shootout goes quite a long ways. Obviously, 2 goals there. Demidov scores a goal to kind of keep things going in that shootout there, but Matsumo could only make so many saves. Clearly, he had some great saves in that shootout. I feel like he did get better over time as the game went along for sure. But yeah, like I just like not a whole lot of guys, especially our top guys who went early on in the shootout, just not doing anything super exciting. But at the end of the day, like we should not be complaining about the shootout and how that shootout went or whatever. We should be complaining about the fact that we let ourselves get down into a 4-2 hole early on in this game because we can't defend. And then even when somehow by the graces of God we find a way to be in a 5-4 lead with less than a minute to go, we still can't find a way to defend. And it's just defense. There's just no there's no defending going on with this team right now. It is all offense, and we are just hoping and praying that we'll score 6 goals in a game and find a way to to win without having a goalie and without playing in our own zone. And it's just unacceptable play in my opinion. This is the second game in a row that's gone, quite frankly, the exact same way. Fortunately, we were able to come out of this with a point in the standings, which is definitely helpful considering the fact that Boston is creeping up in those standings. Columbus is creeping up in those standings as well. Ottawa's not too far behind either. As it stands right now, we've got a 3-point lead in that first wildcard position over Boston, and then we've got a 4-point lead over Columbus right now. So we're keeping up a little bit. Obviously, every point helps, and we're definitely happy that we got enough of a comeback there to get a point there. But this is a game like when we score 5 goals in a game, like you should be winning in regulation, getting those 2 points and walking out like it's nothing. But unfortunately, we definitely just do whatever possible to make it as hard as we can on ourselves, and especially early on in this one, like we just did not have our A game. We didn't have our great goaltending. I mean, like what great goaltending, but you know what I mean. Like it's just we didn't have good goaltending, but like we're also just not playing well in front of our goaltender. Like it's more than that. Like all 4 of our offensive lines there are just not finding ways. I feel like our defense is stepping up into the play unsuccessfully too many times, and bless Lane Hudson, but I feel like he's the recipient of a lot of those plays too. I feel like he's stepping up into the play and causing 2-on-1s the other way quite frequently while trying to get some offense going. And I feel like obviously he's only in his second year, things to learn for sure, but I feel like especially in a situation where we know that our goaltender hasn't been playing his best game, and we want to defend, we want to play some defense and prevent more goals from going in. We need to find a way to to lock in our own zone, seal up the front of the net, all that kind of stuff, and it's just not happening right now. So I don't know what it is in terms of like lineup changes, like coaching changes or whatever. I'm not saying like fire the coach or anything like that. I'm just saying like Martin St. Louis needs to find a way in practice over the next few days here to get his guys to understand what the defensive scheme is, and like put some more emphasis on the fact that we have to be able to defend. Like you cannot, you cannot let all of these goals in the way that we're doing it right now, and also the amount of times that we've had a lead late in a game and a chance to get 2 points and walk out the door in regulation, and it just keeps biting us in the ass where we're not able to defend in the final minutes of a game with the goalie pulled. And we let so many opportunities go away from us. I just think like most recently, right, it happened against the Islanders as well. It happened in this game. Like, we were tied late in San Jose the other day, and that one didn't go our way either. And it's just there's so many opportunities where the Canadiens are able to play some defense and kill this game off, but they're not in a position to to defend against the offense in a 6-on-5 situation or late in a game or whatever it is. And that's something that if we want to be competitive in the playoffs and down the stretch, if we even want to make the playoffs at all, never mind getting to the first round, we need to be able to play some defense, and we need to find a way to to protect these leads when we get them and not put ourselves in holes early on. So that's kind of my 2 cents there. Obviously, it's definitely a frustrating game to watch. I mean, thank God that we find a way to get a point in this one. We don't want to get a regulation losing streak going on, especially right now in the season. But man, it's just like Martin St. Louis needs to be talking to these guys on the bus ride down to LA and finding a way to lock in defensively and shut down the opposition when they're in our own zone, and just find a way to get some goals. And goals has not been a problem. Like we score goals like nobody's business. We're like one of the best teams in the NHL in scoring goals, but once we score those goals, prevent the other team from scoring goals. It's a very simple concept, but it just does not seem to be something that the Habs have been able to figure out recently. So I really hope to see an improved effort in tomorrow's game against the Los Angeles Kings. So that is pretty much all I have for this one. We found a way to get a point, but again, we need some defense tomorrow. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but that is all for me today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you after hopefully a better defensive effort, maybe a 1-0 win or something like that. That'd be great in a game against the LA Kings tomorrow night.